I'm Erica Farber, Radio Hall of Fame class of 2021, and it is my pleasure to be sitting with two of our newest inductees for the Radio Hall of Fame 2025, the amazing Bob and Sheri.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you. Thank you for stopping by here at the Museum of Broadcast Communications.
What a place.
We're so overwhelmed.
It's pretty cool.
Radio people very often are jaded, but I'm watching all these radio people come through this place and they're
Wide-eyed.
wide-eyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is something to see.
Well, so speaking of wide-eyed, I'm wide-eyed sitting here with you two. So tell me, first of all, what it was like when you got the phone call that you're being inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame.
I said to our longtime business partner, Tony Garcia, I said, that is so sweet. It's going to be awkward when you have to call back about the typo, but I'm going to enjoy this moment. Well, Les, and I'll tell you why we were so overwhelmed and so shocked. Because this isn't something that you can have, I think, as a goal. You know what radio is like. You're focused not on what happened yesterday, but on what's coming next in the next break. You're constantly evolving and constantly thinking forward. And so the days fly by and something like this happens, and it really forces you to stop and take stock of a career that we are proud of and grateful for, but this is pretty amazing.
So was it the same call that you two found out, or?
Right,
Yeah.
we were on a conference call.
Right.
And I was in Hilton Head Island in my studio. And when the call came through and Tony said, I need to talk to both of you.
Uh-oh.
That's usually bad news.
It was either bad news or this. And I was glad to hear it was this. You know, it's a funny thing. I just saw a picture over in the Johnny Carson area of Joan Rivers, who of course subbed for him for a while.
The legend.
And it just took me right back 30 years when Sheri and I first met. And I wanted her so much to be my partner. And the station at the time did not want to hire her because she had no experience. And I said, listen,
Okay, so
she's the one.
you were on the air. Let's take a step
Yeah.
back. You were on the
Bob
air.
was a star.
Yeah, well.
He was.
So I was on the air, the station was struggling, and I needed a partner.
Right.
And they kept bringing me people that really wouldn't bat the ball back. I said, I want somebody that's really special. She came down as a producer for television to do a commercial on me, and we just started talking. And I knew 60 seconds
so
later.
you weren't even on the air at that
No.
point.
No. Erica, I will enter the Radio Hall of Fame with the first and only radio job I've ever had.
Right.
You're the one.
I feel like a unicorn Care Bear. Like this is my first, last, and only radio job.
I had to threaten to leave
Yeah.
because they wouldn't hire her because she had no
So
experience.
you knew instantly.
I knew right there.
Wow.
And they said, we'll hire her. You've got 1 year. And if it doesn't work, you're both gone.
So what was it about Sheri that you knew?
She was just so fast and funny and smart. There's no other way to put it. She was the fastest wit I've ever heard on her feet, comedically. And to get to the Joan Rivers thing, 1 year to the month later, I watched her walk up to a celebration in New York City, and Joan Rivers gave her the Gracie Allen Award as the funniest woman in American radio. And
Wow, a year.
we were right.
And Bob was like, told you I was a genius.
Well, how did you feel? Had you ever thought about being on the air?
No, we did the TV thing together. It was weird. You know, sometimes you meet people and it's like the tumblers on the lock click into place. And we just vibed.
Just clicked.
And we had a great time. And he invited me to lunch. And because I had never worked in radio at that point, I didn't understand that people in radio don't buy you lunch just to be nice. So we ordered, and he said, so I've been searching America for a partner. I've looked at 60 audition tapes, and I would like it to be you. And I said, to do what? And he said, to be my partner on the radio. And I was like, oh, I don't want to change my name. And he goes, you can call yourself whatever you want. And I had never even been in a school play. It had never occurred to me to be in front of a camera or a microphone.
Right.
But he was like, come on, you're going to be great. We're going to have a great time. And I honestly figured I'd be fired in 6 months or less. And what a lark and what a story it would be to tell. And now here we are with you today.
And what a lark and what a story.
And what a
here
lark
all
and
these
what a
years later.
story.
It really,
Yeah.
it's a fun story to tell and to look back on.
It's a very unusual career, and
Yeah.
I know that. I know that.
And 70 stations later, it's really hard to believe. And one of the blessings really is to get letters and emails from people. They're very sweet, saying you both are so funny and all of that, and that
From your audience,
touches.
from your
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
listeners. But they'll talk about just terrible hard times they've been through, and the only laugh they had was driving
It's
into
you.
work in the morning. And it really touches you.
It's the power of the medium.
Yeah.
And one thing Bob and I, we agreed very early on, which was kind of hilarious because he was a veteran and a star, and I literally just got off the bus. And we both agreed we have a vision and we're gonna do it our way. We're gonna have each other's backs. We're gonna be a relentless, ferocious, two-headed monster. We're gonna chase this thing that we believe in. And it was that an audience can be a community and that you can entertain people and at the same time show them extraordinary respect, which is something I think a lot of women had experienced as listeners to morning radio, which, as you know, had long been, and in many ways remains, a little bit of a locker room kind of boys club. And so we were committed to our show, our audience, our team, each other. And I look back now, and it's a great thing to be young and reckless, because the version of me that told the board of directors, equal pay or I'm out, the version of me that did that, this version of me is like, girl, we need to let's talk about this for a second.
Mhm.
But when you're young and have nothing to lose, and I had nothing to lose, and I had Bob's full support. Bob was like, damn straight, equal pay, equal pay. And so we were able to make big changes in our little corner of the world.
Well, but talk about trailblazers, because there's still a lot of women who are not getting equal
that.
pay to
That's
their
exactly
co-host.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
The company was a very good company, but I had a certain salary and they expected hers to be about half.
Right.
Or
And
less.
She was
Yeah.
or less, and she was having none of it. And I said, I'm sorry, we'll have to go someplace else. When she got the money that I was making, it was the biggest raise in the history of Jefferson Pilot insurance.
Wow.
They had to get the board.
No wonder our premiums went up.
Yeah.
It's all her fault.
They had to get the board to vote on it. And they
Yeah.
were, and some of these people came down to look at me, like to eyeball
who
me
is
in
this
person.
person?
And I was like, fair is fair. I am doing the work. And
Right.
the one thing we have always had was each other's undivided, hang on, I'll get a shovel, we'll bury that body together, support. And I think that's also pretty unusual.
Yeah.
Very.
You know?
Keith
Very.
Richards used to say in the Rolling Stones, it's shields up.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to do. Because it's, as you know, it's a raucous business and a business that's got an edgy side to it.
Look, most marriages don't last this long.
No, they don't.
Oh, no. No.
And-
Mm-mm.
So what a tribute to the two of
Thank
you.
you.
No, it's amazing. It's fantastic.
Bob used to say, our relationship is just like a marriage, except that we don't have sex, which makes it just like a marriage, right? But the other place we got lucky, and I believe luck is a huge part of any success story. If you don't shout out luck, you're arrogant. We got lucky in a lot of ways in terms of the people that we were surrounded by. Tony Garcia joined us from the very beginning. He uprooted his family and his career and gambled on something that a lot of people in the industry were like, that's not gonna work. That's just not gonna work. Women don't want that kind of entertainment. They don't, they're not gonna listen. They're not gonna galvanize to it. And Tony said, bet. And so we, from the beginning, were surrounded by people that said, I don't care how crazy this looks to anybody else, we believe in it.
Right.
And that's luck in so many ways.
And hard work.
You know?
You're talking to so many people in radio. What's the common denominator that you're noticing?
Today, authenticity.
Really?
Yes, that seems to be a word that is coming up more and more, that's separating who's really successful and
Yeah.
who's just marginal.
Isn't that interesting? Great.
That was the very thing that we had to fight for in the beginning, because we didn't sound like other guy-girl radio shows. We weren't doing, scripted or canned benchmarky kind of bits. It was very conversational. It was very real. And you had a woman in the mix who had as much and sometimes more power and mic time and more.
But you were being yourself. You
Yeah.
weren't saying, they weren't telling you this is the way
No.
you're supposed to act.
Well,
No.
that's where
No.
that's where the two of us being so tight, because we got some of that. We
Right.
did. And we would just go, no. But thanks for the input. It sounds crazy now to say we had to fight for that authenticity. We had to fight for that realness, because now it's like a given. But we fought for it, and we believed in it, and it was worth it.
So what would be your advice for the next generation of broadcasters, especially those who want to be on air and possibly a team? What advice do you have for them?
Wow, it's such a hard question right now because we just don't know where we're going. I think rather than speaking to young broadcasters, I just would like to speak to the people who run the industry. You will not survive with AI. People want to connect with real human beings, and you have got to find a farm system where you can bring up somebody from, let's say he's 22, she's 22 years old, put them on at night, just like I did. I mean, I was on WPEP,
Incubators.
the voice and choice of Greater Taunton, Massachusetts, and give them a chance to, get their bones and develop the best ones and make them a part of whatever your community is.
Right.
And I would say directly to you, young broadcaster wanting to get into this business, you simply cannot be an amalgamation of what other people tell you should be. You're going to have to be who you are, work with what you have, and fight for that opportunity to use your voice.
Yeah.
The people that succeed are iconoclasts. They're people that pushed back. They're people that didn't sound right, or that, maybe didn't fit the mold. Those are the people that have succeeded, that are legendary in our business, that we look up to.
Right.
If you are someone who changes who you are and what you believe to fit this week's meeting or the latest research or consultant, you'll work, but you won't survive. You won't sustain.
Right.
You have got to be willing to fail and willing to be in conflict and willing, and this is hard for women, you have to be willing to be not liked every single minute of your day.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the people that are most loudly telling you, I don't like you, are the people that down the road are going to be like, and ladies and gentlemen. So you have to fight for yourself, and don't think anybody else is going to come in and be a hero.
Here's the hardest thing, and this is going to sound harsh. If you want to be a radio personality, you have to step back and say, what is unique about me or my style? And if you cannot come up with an answer, you need to go ahead and become a pharmacist or something, because my uniqueness is...
Or you can work behind the scenes.
You
at
can,
a radio
yes. Oh, of
station.
course. I'm talking
Yeah.
about on air.
Sure.
Yeah. It's hard.
But not everybody's going to be good on air, but we certainly still need people to work in our business.
Oh, without a doubt.
So-
we need so
Without
many
a
of those
doubt.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to Bob's point about to the leaders of the industry, the medium of radio, yes, we have new kinds of competition, right? We have new realities in terms of how we monetize and how we deliver programming and how we recruit listening. But the medium of radio itself is every bit what it has always been: intimate, powerful, immediate, direct.
Right.
To squander that, trying to, okay, well, the kids today seem to like podcasts. Let's act like a podcast. No, let's act like radio. And let's commit to really driving this medium like the race car that it is. Something that Bob and I have always been so focused on is, how can we make this even more radio? Because that's what we do.
Right.
How can we engage this audience and make them feel a part of this? And one thing I will say about the Bob and Sheri audience, and I'm so proud of it, is it's a community. It's responsive, it's engaged, it's alive and awake and aware. And I would encourage you, whether you own the station, run the station, or on the air, to immediately begin cultivating that kind of relationship with the people who listen.
Right.
Well, we need the listeners, but we
need
need
the listeners.
Bob and Sheri.
Thank
So,
you so
we
much.
we know this is a busy day for both of you. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we
Our
can't wait
pleasure.
to cheer you on tonight.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.